I spent the last 3 days working on a music video, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out first and then come back here, because in this video I'll be teaching you exactly how I made it, step by step. I'll show you some special tricks and I'll tell you how much this kind of project costs to make at the moment. First, I needed a song. Suno is a great alternative, but I went with Udio. I love this site. It seems like generating music is way cheaper than other mediums, and it is shockingly fast. I mean, for what it creates. Maybe you're not going to get as many great generations as something like Midjourney, but it's still possible to find diamonds in the rough. So I have some quick recommendations for you. Keep Enhance Prompt on. I mean, if you know exactly what you want, all the different details that describe the music, go for it. But that option is there for a reason. It's probably best if you keep it on. As far as prompting for the song, you can be as specific as you want in terms of subject matter, but I honestly suggest asking for abstract concepts like poetry. And I'm saying that for one key reason. I find that the lyrics it produces are way better, way less on the nose. They're more poetic, they flow better, and they're performed better. In my opinion, at least. Now back to the pricing, there are lots of free credits to use with Udio, but I suggest paying for the $10 standard plan. Why? Well, you get access to their new model, which can create a full 2-minute song rather than just a 30-second sample. And that's a pretty big deal for two reasons. I found that it's better at generating a full song in one go, rather than splicing together parts 30 seconds at a time. And the new model sounds way better, like the quality is way higher, and for $10, I think it's a really good deal. Let me show you a quick example. It's not going to be one-to-one because that's not how AI works, but this is what a 30-second sample sounds like.
Loving you tonight, I think I've got it all. What tomorrow holds.
Not bad, but check this out. Here's Udio 1.5.
Loving you tonight, I think I've got it all. What tomorrow holds.
Isn't that like a gigantic difference? And again, for $10, that new model, well worth it in my opinion. Especially if you're trying to create a music video out of this. And look, if you want to learn more about generating AI music, I'll have a full course available in my new school community by the end of the week. For the next 7 days, as an early access gift to anyone watching, you can join the community for just $1 a month, and you'll keep paying this price forever, even as it increases for everyone else in the future. I want this to be the best value on the internet. This is where I'll post my Midjourney tips as I learn them, and where I'll keep you up to date on the latest AI news, as well as full access to courses on different AIs. If you're interested in joining a community of like-minded people, I'd love to see you there. So I'm generating music on Udio, and I went with this prompt, an abstract heavy metal country EDM song about smiling in the rain. Pretty random, but it came out with this. And as soon as I heard the music, I could see the video. That's kind of what sparked this whole process. To download your music, you can click in a few different spots, but you might use this one right here. We don't want the video, although you can generate one with the lyrics included. I simply suggest going with an MP3, but if you're really advanced, you can click on the stems and download each individual section of the song, as in the vocals, the drums, the bass, and other instruments separately. Pretty advanced stuff and sort of unnecessary for this workflow, but just remember that it's there. And honestly, it was the lyrics that pushed me over the edge. This part right here. Why, I cannot say.
Hear the roar, but adore, why I cannot say.
For the bot to include that in a song and have it perform it well, my mind was blown. And it was a full 2-minute and 11-second song, generated just like that. And then this part in a chorus where it has a little piano escalating in the background.
Smile through the storm, dance in the rain's arm.
Again, as soon as I heard that, I could see the video. Now I needed some images, so I went to Midjourney. There are a couple of ways you could go about creating the look for your music video, like you could use a style reference to keep everything pretty consistent. I did not use a style reference. Instead, I did two things. First, I kept a static atmosphere description in my prompt. A rainy, overcast day, as well as the word unsplash. That description is going to contain the output in a very specific way. The look of the images aren't exactly going to be identical, at least in terms of the lighting, but we can sort of take care of that later. So I didn't use a style reference with the description, but I did use my personalization code. This is a great way to get consistent looks, but I have to say that your mileage may vary depending on what your personal style is. To create a style of your own, you can click on personalize down here on the left side, and then you're basically just going to teach Midjourney which type of images you like more. I've made just over 10,000 rankings, so the bot definitely knows me well. You could get away with maybe 200 rankings, but of course, The more you do, the better it will go, and at the same time, the more you rank, the less each ranking will actually matter, so it's kind of up in the air how many you really need to do. And a quick note on the philosophy behind this, we'll use this pair as an example. You might not like either image, so you might be tempted to hit skip. I'm suggesting you do not do that. Instead, pick an image. It doesn't matter whether you like one of them, it just matters which one you like more. The bot is going to learn from that, and if you do this hundreds or thousands of times, the bot is going to learn your style. And another note, this whole process might look a little different when you try it. The Midjourney team is definitely going to update how personalization works in the future, but it's going to be the same basic idea, just letting you know. So I kept the same atmospheric description, I kept my personalization code, and then I prompted for a bunch of different scenes. A big city festival, POV inside of a car on a road trip, something super simple like a cool scene. When you combine that with on a rainy overcast day, as well as Unsplash and my personalization code, we get an image that looks like this, and it fits so well in the video. I don't actually think I used this picture in the video, but you get my point. In fact, at one point I started using the lyrics from the song in the generations. Cinematic shot, feel the pulse of the land when the raindrops thrill. A rainy overcast day, Unsplash. When I did include characters, I tried to keep their descriptions as simple as possible. I'm talking phrases like, the woman is wearing a simple, clean yellow coat. Keep it simple or you're gonna run into problems. Like here I have the woman is wearing a black coat with a blue umbrella, except this time I used a character reference. This is a great way to keep consistency in something like a music video. And one thing you're gonna wanna use is CW0. That's --CW, then a value of 0 in your prompt. That's character weight, and if you don't lower it to 0, Midjourney is going to include everything it knows about the character, including what the person is wearing. Now, you probably don't want that. At 0, it's just going to focus on their face, and again, that's probably what you're going for. This is how you would see your character in different outfits super easily. Now, once you have a bunch of images that sort of fit your vibe, you're going to want to download them to your computer. Save them into a folder, try and keep things labeled and organized. As these projects start to expand, organization is going to be your best friend. It's worth the trouble. Trust me. Now we need to make these images move. I use 2 websites to do this, Luma AI and Luma. I think any generator you choose will be fine, like Runway ML, but my personal choice is Luma, so that's what we'll be going over today. Why do I like it so much? Well, it's fast. Way faster than its competitors. I don't know how they're able to make that work, but it's a lot of fun to use. And another reason is that credits are simple to understand. 1 credit equals 1 generation. Kling, for example, takes 35 credits per generation. So when you're trying to do the math, it just feels a little weird. Like, you can buy 3,500 credits for $50, but then again, it takes 35 credits per generation, so for $50 you're getting 100 generations. That might be a good deal, it's pretty average I guess, but as you see your credits winding down, it's just hard to mentally visualize how many you have left. Whereas again, for Luma, it's 1 credit per 1 generation. With Luma, you do actually get 30 free generations per month. There's no commercial use and it has a watermark. You can try the light plan for $10 a month, you get 70 generations, higher priority, still no commercial use, and there is a watermark. So what I suggest, and what I did first, was go with the standard plan, $30 for 150 generations. Like, that's pretty good. With the standard plan, you can use these videos commercially and you remove the watermark. Creating a video in Luma is as simple as this. We're going to click this button here and find an image on our computer. And honestly, I don't like to prompt for image to video. I don't like to write anything, although I do recommend making sure enhance prompt is clicked, and then I'll hit enter. Now, why don't I like to write a prompt? Well, I think about it like this. First of all, the AI does a really good job of understanding what the picture is without any extra words, and I think it does better without a prompt than with the prompt. By the way, look how quick that generated. That's wild. And you'll notice, like, that's not very good. So you might have to do this more than once. I'd say the success rate is anywhere around like 65 to 70%, because look at this generation over here. Like, that's amazing, and I did the exact same thing. I know I said I didn't like the prompt, but Luma does have some pretty good camera control that I used once in a while. You can type camera and then see a bunch of different controls, but they don't all appear at once. One of them you can find is just by typing static. So camera static will hopefully just keep this generation still. If it's not listening to you, you can remove the enhance prompt feature, and that will result in a more literal interpretation of your prompt or picture. There's a lot of nuance that goes into it. You're gonna have to experiment and find out what works best for your more images. The other camera shot I used often was push in. This will give you just a really simple zoom. And you see how camera static didn't really work? Well, maybe that's because I had enhanced prompt on, so let's try it again without that. Look at that, you see what I mean? It's way more static, and that's because I unchecked enhanced prompt. Again, you're gonna have to play around with it. Take a look at this camera push in though, look how well this works. It gives you a full 5-second video, and you're gonna notice that it's hard to keep consistency for the full 5 seconds. That's where editing comes in. You might have to cut some of these clips short. Let me just reiterate, I like to use enhanced prompt just to run through this workflow, go through all of my images and see what turns out. And I did this because I didn't have that specific of a vision, but if you do, of course, go ahead and take your time, write out your prompts, write the camera movement, maybe you'll find what you're looking for. Let me show you another special trick for creating video. I actually use the zoom out feature on Midjourney as well as the editor to sort of create a dynamic set of shots, as in kind of faking consistency by seeing the same look at different angles or distances. So I had this shot here, but I wanted some consistency. So this is all I would do, just shrink it a bit and then place it somewhere on the canvas. And then that will create a shot like this, or even like that. And then when you run these through the video generator and edit them together, it sort of looks like one long continuous shot. Sort of. Just a little hack for you. But building off of that idea, you can actually use the Luma feature of choosing the first and last frame and have the video create between them. So I had this shot, right? And then I used the editor to zoom in. I cropped in on this image. Once you've zoomed in, I went back into the editor and I made sure the aspect ratio was in 16:9. It was pretty close, but this gets it exact, which will give you a shot like this. So I downloaded this one and the original, and then let's go back into Luma and let me show you how to put them together. I wanted to zoom out, so I chose the zoomed in picture first, and then from here we can add an end frame. So this is where you choose the original picture that was already zoomed out. And when you hit enter, you're gonna get something like this. Isn't that so cool? Such an easy effect to create and something you can't really do with the video generator alone. Keep this one in mind, it might help you out. You're gonna download all the videos, now you wanna take them into an editor to put them all together. My editor of choice is Premiere Pro, but I don't think it's completely necessary to use. It's a bit expensive, there's a monthly subscription to use Adobe, so I know it's not for everyone, but for the point of this workflow, I'm gonna teach you exactly how I did it. This is what my timeline looked like when it first started. You just kinda have to place the clips where you think they belong. The fine tuning comes way after. And I have one big trick for you. You see these markers here? Let me show you why they're so important. We want to make marks on the beats of the song for where you want to insert your clips. To do this, we're going to use the M key on your keyboard. First, make sure your audio is selected, hit play, and then tap the M key every time you think you want a new clip. And there's two ways you could go about this. You could make a mark on the beat of the song, or you could use the lyrics. Full disclosure, I changed scenes on the lyrics in my final version, but at first I used the beat. It really is up to you, and it really does depend on the song. Now, that probably wasn't perfect, but that is the workflow. This will make inserting your clips so much easier and get you a great first draft. I mentioned first draft because look how many changes I made. Here's my first draft. I wasn't sure if this was working, but I didn't want to delete it completely. I just wanted to go in like an alternate direction. So I tried this rough copy. Again, not sure if it's working, so I went over here and tried again. I did it again, and again, and again, and I'm still not done. I made a new sequence, and this is where I started putting in the lyrics, and you'll notice at first it is very crude and very simple. I tried auto captioning with Premiere Pro, but it didn't quite work. It wasn't picking up the lyrics, and it was difficult to insert. So instead I used a graphic layer. You can hit T on your keyboard to select that tool, and then you simply want to select somewhere on your video. And we want to write something, we want to have our lyrics on there at some point. What I decided to do was extend this graphic layer across my entire sequence, and then I simply made cuts every time there was a change in lyrics. From there, I had to manually go in and change the lyrics one line at a time. If there's a better way of doing this, please let me know. All that work will eventually lead to something like this, where I have my lyrics where I want them, in the font that I want them, all separated at the correct times. But now we'll get to the final problem that you'll need to solve, the color grading. Take a look at these clips. Notice the lighting in this clip versus this clip versus that clip. They don't match, the color is off. So what you'll have to do is make them match. And this isn't that difficult, but it's not that easy either. You can of course edit the color on the clip itself, but I don't recommend doing that. Instead, you want to make an adjustment layer. First, make sure your project panel is selected. Then at the top, you can click on File, New, and then Adjustment Layer. We can drag this adjustment layer over our clips. Then what I like to do is make cuts so that the adjustment layer is only affecting each individual clip, not all of the videos at once. Your layout in Premiere Pro might look a little different than mine. I have the Lumetri color tab up here, and this is where I can start making adjustments. So maybe I would make this a little more green. You're really just gonna have to play around and experiment. Then I go to this clip over here and I need to make it match, so I'm gonna make it more green too. And this is another problem you might run into. You have to make sure your text is above the adjustment layer. It can get kind of annoying. So it would be something like that. Now, are those clips starting to match? Maybe a little bit, but it's gonna take some more adjusting, trust me. This is where you might wanna play with the exposure a bit, maybe the contrast, lower the highlights and the shadows, as well as adjusting the temperature of the scene. I wish I had some more concrete tips for you, but again, it's just experiment and playing around, and eventually your scenes might all start to blend together. It can be pretty exciting when you notice it start to work. All in all, the total cost of this project was $10 for a Udio subscription, as well as $64.99 for my Luma plan. Hello, Nolan the editor here. I realized I made a mistake as I was putting together this video. I didn't include my Midjourney subscription in the cost. So let's recalculate. I paid $10 for the monthly Udio subscription. Luma was $64.99, but I think you could get it done with the $30 plan. And I'm on an annual Midjourney plan, so the math is a little off. But if we were just looking at it month to month, I don't think $10 would be enough. $30 might be a little overkill. So my suggestion would be going with the $10 a month plan to create images, and then using the optional credit top-ups, which is $4 for somewhere around 60 prompts. Doing that a couple of times should get you more than enough images to use for your video. In total, you could expect to pay somewhere between $50 on the low end if you get really lucky with your generations and you have a clear plan, all the way to $101 at the maximum. And look, I think that's everything you'll need to create your own music video, all generated by AI, of course with a little human artistry near the end. If you want to see the final result, you can check it out right here. I can't wait to see what you create, and if you want to show it off, remember about my new school community, the Future Tech Academy. I hope you're doing well, take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.